What is up guys, it's Swolheim here, back with another Wrath of the Lich King Classic video. Today we are looking at some of the major changes going from TBC Classic to Wrath of the Lich King Classic, so you guys know what to expect in terms of gameplay changes. I do think that most of these are obvious, but as there are quite a few changes actually happening, it is very easy to get lost and forget a few of them, so let's use this video to refresh our minds. First up, let's talk about raiding, as this is probably what most of you care about anyway, and it's honestly something that is changing drastically. First up, we are getting both 10-man and 25-man raids. At the start of Wrath, 10-man is usually referred to as normal, and 25-man is usually referred to as heroic, as 25-man drops better loot, but in general, just think of it as 10-man and 25-man, as heroic raids are introduced later with the Trial of the Crusader patch. We also have hard mode specific bosses in, for example, Ulduar, which was the first step towards fully heroic raids, and these hard mode bosses can be activated on command to make the encounter more difficult, and in return spice up the loot table. As heroic raids are introduced with the Trial of the Crusader patch or phase, at the end of Wrath you will have many different choices for raiding. Like right now in TBC you pretty much have one type of Black Temple. It's Black Temple. There's no Black Temple 10 or 20-man or 25-man, or normal or heroic. It is just plain simple Black Temple. If we take Icecrown Citadel as an example here in Wrath, you have 10-man normal ICC, 10-man heroic ICC, 25-man normal ICC, and 25-man heroic ICC. 10-man normal and 10-man heroic shares a lockout, and 25-man normal and 25-man heroic shares a lockout. This means that you can do a full run of ICC 10-man on either normal or heroic, as well as a full run of ICC 25-man on, once again, either normal or heroic per week, giving you 2 full clears of ICC per week. Some old raids are also still relevant in later phases, like in phase 6, you might still be doing some Ulduar and Trial of the Crusader runs as well, so most guilds will probably have an extra raid day or two, compared to what they currently have in TBC Classic. Next up then, heroic dungeons are much easier at the launch compared to TBC Classic, where heroic dungeons were literally more difficult than raids, which was absolutely dumb, but yeah, heroic dungeons are actually doable in Wrath. Speaking of both raiding and heroic dungeons, there are no attunements in Wrath, so get ready to just go full gas pedal and speed through the gameplay. There's a new profession, Inscription. This profession also introduces the glyph system, which could be summarized as additional power increases on par with talent points, and you can use 3 major glyphs and 3 minor glyphs per character that will slightly increase your character's strength by increasing your damage output or reducing the cooldown of your abilities. Inscription can be a very expensive and lucrative profession, capable of making you thousands of gold if you use it correctly, and for more information on that specifically, I would recommend you check out my Wrath of the Lich King Gold Guide, which you can find a link to in the video description. This is a gold guide for Wrath that I've been working on for quite some time now, and it contains investments, preparations, gold farms, and a lot more specific to making gold in Wrath, and by purchasing the guide you will also receive all of the future updates for free. And considering the guide contains multiple investments that you can buy in TBC right now and sell in Wrath for massive profits, the earlier you buy the guide, the more value you get from it. You can even use the code Swolheim for 50% off, and once again the link is down below. While we are on class changes, let's name a few. There's a brand new class, the Death Knight, which starts at level 55, and has its own starter zone that takes you from level 55 to level 58, while also introducing you to the class, teaching you more spells and talents as you level through the zone. There's no more downranking, all of the spells now cost the same amount of mana, regardless of their rank, and this could really affect some classes like Holy Paladins, which can use their blessings and downscale their Flash of Light and Holy Light, but still pull off incredible healing numbers, plus mages that are constantly fishing for clear casting procs. That being said though, mana is also made a much less issue in Wrath, as there's almost no mana struggles, so overall this is a great change and has little to no impact. There's some changes made to spell pushback, where this now has a diminishing return, and there will only ever be 2 pushbacks per cast or channeled effect, making pushbacks way less annoying. Speaking of class changes and raids, most class buffs and totems are now raid-wide instead of just party-wide, allowing for more diverse raid setups, and several classes gets new quality of life upgrades that also affects raiding, basically streamlining more classes into providing more utility. For example, in TBC Classic, you pretty much needed to bring Shadow Priest for their mana battery effect, and while they still have this effect in Wrath of the Lich King, Paladins can also bring the same mana battery effect in Wrath. Next up then, plus healing is removed from gear, and is now replaced with spell power, and this is a retroactive change as well, meaning it will affect Classic WoW and TBC items as well. So if you have any plus healing gear from TBC, those will have spell power instead in Wrath. We also have the armor penetration stat, which will also retroactively affect TBC items that currently have an armor reduction function on them to now correspond with this new armor penetration stat, and a lot of loot in Wrath for melee will be based on this stat. Next up then, we have some miscellaneous changes. Achievements are being added to the game, allowing for achievement hunting and other fun gameplay, but most of all, get ready to link your raiding achievements in order to be invited to raids. Pets and Mount tab allows you to store your pets and mounts in these tabs instead of having them take up unnecessary bag and bank space. Barber shops are also added, allowing you to alter the visuals of your character in the facial area. We have 2 new arenas, Wintergrasp Outdoor Battleground and Strand of the Ancient Battleground. There's basically a lot of focus on siege combat PvP. You can now summon inside both raids and dungeons, once again quality of life. Potions are now limited to 1 potion per fight, excluding the pre-pot tactic, but 1 potion during the actual fight encounter. Dual talent specialization is being added, and for the small cost of 1000 gold, you can now have a second spec that you can actively swap to whenever you want, allowing warriors, paladins, death knights and druids to have both a DPS spec as well as a tank spec, and this should be a very good thing to help prevent another tank shortage like we had in TBC. So next up then, the Dungeon Finder. This one is huge and talked about on both sides of the spectrum. Some people hate it, some people love it. It certainly has its negatives and positives, but based on all of the comments that I've seen on my videos where I talk about this, it seems like people would be more than happy with the Dungeon Finder, as long as it is not cross-realm, so it is specific to your realm, and as long as it doesn't teleport you to the dungeon, because apparently flying to the dungeon entrance is such an incredible experience, and getting teleported there would ruin the entire game and render it literally unplayable. Now, as of right now, the Dungeon Finder is not planned for Wrath Classic, and according to Blizzard, it will not be in Wrath Classic either, but I just wanted to include it in this video, just in case it happens to come out later down the line. Last but not least, heirloom gear for your alts, allowing you to level up alts even faster. I also want to say that some of these changes came with the launch of Wrath of the Lich King, while some of them came in patch 3.1, 3.2, and even 3.3. So we might not get all of these changes at the launch of Wrath Classic, but we will know more about that very soon. So yeah, that is pretty much it. Those should be most of the major changes going from TBC to Wrath. Being the casual that I am, I probably forgot a few, so let me know in the comments down below if you have any other changes that you think I should have mentioned in this video. Remember to give the video a like if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to the channel for more Wrath videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon.